What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triangle. My name is Demetrius.
And it's your girl, CJ.
And before I give my name, public service announcement.
Oh, God.
This summer. Especially the men. If you don't feel a little uncomfortable when you're taking a shower, as in spreading those ass cheeks a bit to let the soap and water just get all up in there, you're not washing right. You're not washing properly. I don't think women have a problem spreading their ass cheeks, but some men may have an issue. Now that we understand where D's coming from, he may not have an issue. Ow. Ow. No, but wash your ass cheeks. I'm Brandy.
I hate you. I can't stand
Vital information for your everyday life.
Wow, that's a great start to our episode on spirituality and religion.
God's proud of me. I don't care what y'all talking about.
I mean, he got a good sense of humor, is what I heard.
He's got the best sense of humor.
I mean, they created some of our exes, right? So I'm just saying.
Girl, this shit. Look, I don't want no bad karma. All my exes were great. I wish them the best. Hallelujah. Praise him.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Be a lie.
I'll have you know, when I'm some politician one day, I have to be very PC. So.
Oh, I mean, they're gonna find the first episode of this and knock you to the ground.
I could never do it. No, you got to wish people the best. That's what God would want.
I mean, I wish them the best. The best without me is not too much. It's not too much. Shit. It's not too much. Anywho, so we're gonna jump right in. Today we're talking about faith, beliefs, spirituality, churches, whatever you guys are into or not into, actually, because I'm sure somebody listening out there are like, none of that shit exists. Yeah, there's plenty of that, or what some would consider the dark side or whatever. But you want to like go around and talk about what you guys are into, like faith-wise, belief-wise, real quick, and then we'll get into it.
Well, I'll say faith-wise, I guess you could say I'm non-denominational.
Okay.
Christian. I don't like using the word Christian, but I do believe in Christ. But I believe people have messed up what it means to be a Christian with their own ideals. So I just like to say I believe in Christ.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Do you go to church?
I don't actively go to church, no.
Okay.
Because I've had nothing but bad experiences at church.
Did you grow up in church?
It was on and off, but I did spend a lot of time in the church. We've been members of several churches growing up. So.
Okay. That's cool. What about you, Brandy?
I did not grow up in church. I didn't have a lot of conversations with my parents about spirituality or any of that stuff. I decided to go like late teens is when I was saved, and then started experiencing like church lifestyle and stuff. So I feel the same way like Demetrius said. I kind of, if I had to put myself in a box, I'll check the Christianity box, but I almost don't like doing it anymore because of, what the image is of it. So I let people know I'm Team Black Jesus all the way. Because he was black!
Oh, Jesus. We're going to have to mute that down on the fucking net.
No, let them hear it. Let them hear that from Ohio to Jerusalem.
Oh.
Black.
Not Ohio to Jerusalem.
I said what I fucking said. Sorry, Lord. I'm going to try to watch
Oh, my God. Oh, it's too late. Episode 3 was too late. So I used to say non-denominational Christian, but I have swung towards more of spirituality and like oneness with nature, kind of. Even though I believe
Say it again.
Say it again, girl, with that voice.
even
the
though
oneness with nature.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm up here like rubbing your boob. I can't. But no,
like, I don't have cancer.
So I like switched over to a lot of holistic stuff, like in general in my life, like even like skincare, hair care situations. So I feel like there's definitely a higher power. I think it's God. I'm not sure what exactly is out there other than that, because I feel like there are other entities at play, which may be something like, what Christians refer to as angels and whatever. But I guess it's weird. I'm like slightly Christian in the sense that I believe in God, but I'm having issues with the whole stories from the Bible because of like what I learned and read about, I guess, is where I'm at. Yeah. But anyway, where do you guys want to start at? There's so much about this.
It's really broad.
It is.
It's so broad.
And I'm
like,
pretty sure it's going to be another part to it next week, probably. I can't stand you, Brandy.
I can't stand myself. Speaking of what I can't stand, I'm just going to like rant a little bit about pet peeves in church.
Oh, let's go there. Yeah, let's do stories.
Let's go there. I'm just going to say this and then I'm going to, let D start again. I do not like when pastors like do that whole, oh, I'm preaching better than y'all shouting. Oh, I wish I had a church in here. Bitch, we all in here. Like, I don't need to hear that shit. I did not come here to hoop and holler and scream and none of that shit unless, I'm really into praise and worship and having my moment intimately okay. But outside of that, I'm technically here to hear him through you, as long as you're a pastor and not a motivational speaker. But other than that, I'm not here to hype and hoop and holler you up. I'm not gonna do all that. Like, I don't like it. And I don't like when I can't understand the pastor. If you aha and aha in between everything, you need to take out halls and shut the fuck up. Like,
I gotta start for that after all of that. But yeah, no, it's really weird because I grew up, I guess kind of like the on and off in Christian churches too, like mostly Baptist, I want to say. Even though it was in Okinawa, it's really weird. My church was definitely a Black church, like with all the hooping, hollering, and all that too. But with all of that said, like it's crazy, right? Because they talk about having a prayer closet and making sure that it's between you and your God and not for show in front of other people. But half those people who are hooping and hollering are just doing it for other people. It's like,
it's almost like a social club. Is what it turns into at the end of the day. It's just a place where you go on Sunday to go kick it with, all your church homies that you've been kicking it with this whole time. And it's like a lot of gossip. If you're not living up to their expectations, then it's a problem. Not what expectations that God has set out for you, but it's how I want you to look to call you my friend type of deal.
Right. Yeah. No, that's like the craziest part too, is that like, I don't know if we really needed to spend 6 hours at church every Sunday.
Girl. Yeah. It's like, that's not it.
It isn't. Did you?
At that point, you're tired.
Do you have like a pet peeve too, D? Like when you went to church?
Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of it was the gossip stuff that was going on. I remember going to this one church. I'm not gonna name the church. It's in Okinawa. It's one of those like predominantly Black Japanese churches. One of those hybrids.
God.
And was there, and I went with.
I'm just letting you know it froze a little bit on my side, so I don't know what just happened.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. But I ended up attending this church with a friend, Freddie, or I think both of you guys might know this person that I went to church with. And when I was 15, was when this happened. When I was 15, I looked a lot older than 15. So when I come walking into the church with this friend, who happens to be a female friend, like it was like you could have, I don't know, wiped the whole church out with how quiet it got. Like it was just like a silence. Everybody's looking at me like, who is that? Who's this grown military man she bringing into the church? Like it was just all this gossip. You just hear it. It was crazy. It was very uncomfortable.
That's so weird.
Stuff like that. That's the reason why I'd rather not do it. And that's happened to me on a few occasions, not just in Okinawa, but other churches as well. So.
You know what's crazy? My dad used to tell me, even though he was like super Christian and took us to church and stuff, but he always reminded me that no matter what, pastors and deacons and all those people in church are just people. Yeah. And that, like, you got to remember that shit, because just because they preaching don't mean they preaching from the right place. So you got to do your own studies and your own like research and own like, what are those big ass books? The concordance or some shit for the Bible?
Which book?
Concordance, is that what it's called? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a reference book for Bibles, and you can look up certain things and it will
that makes sense.
Yeah, references for every. Is
it like to break down like the language, the way it's
written? And
almost like the Baker Pocket Guide to World Religions.
But before we get into that, this Waterloo. trying to get us some money. Trying to make
and
some money.
And this book is by Gerald R. McDermott. For those that are
we're going to tag the author in this episode on all of our podcasts.
No, but I can attest to what Demetrius was talking about, because I'm so happy I didn't grow up in church, and having my parents be like super spiritual. Like I know they believed in something, because I believe my dad's side of the family, because I were Catholics, because I remember one time going to a church with them, and I was like, why are we getting out of church? And we've been here since like 9, and it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't get with this religion at all, because I will not have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at
church.
At church, I can't do it. And then my mom's just always, I know, believed in God, but never been a person to really be in the church like that. So that, I think, helped me out to have that relationship before I had the government of how a church is supposed to be ran or anything with religion. I got to experience the relationship first. But like I was saying, to piggyback off him, I've had some awful church experiences, and I'm real enough to know which ones were because of me kind of being nasty acting, only because of what I was going through and not knowing how to deal with myself, so I was lashing out at other people.
Right.
But there were other times where it's like, damn, y'all supposed to be more mature and spiritually mature than me, and you're in cliques, and you're cutting me out, and I have demons in me. I need to go through deliverance, and it's just so isolating. I understand why it makes people not want to go to a place where you feel like you should be able to be yourself and safe. You know, if you can't do it anywhere else, it would be nice to do it at the place you choose to worship whatever you believe in, and that's not the case for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially in a lot of organized religion. So how do you guys feel about organized religion in general, like regardless of it being Christianity or anything else? Why?
It's kind of hard to say, mainly because a lot of the organized religions that we associate with is very, very heavily cultural based. So like your whole culture, your whole identity is wrapped around your religion. So it's hard to say, oh, it's a bad thing when it makes up who you are. You know what I mean? It's like, especially when you look at people like in the Middle East, how Middle Eastern culture is very heavily influenced by, Islam. And then for them to leave Islam, it's almost like you left your whole culture behind. So it's kind of hard to say. I appreciate it. I think it can be a beautiful thing. But at the same time, I know what bad or the harm that it could cause also.
Do you guys think
it's kind of hard to say?
It's like a completely different situation now than it would have been like 100 years ago in Christianity too?
No, I think it's the same thing. I just think we have more technology and people are voicing their experiences more. I think everything back a long time ago was just swept under the rug.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So now all the kids are coming out with all these horror stories of what happened to them. It just depends.
I'm just curious because like you and I, Dee, we grew up in churches here and there, like mostly in churches. And then Brandy didn't, but Brandy went more Christian than we did, I feel like, from conversations we've had. Like, do you think, like, I don't know how to put it. I guess because after I spent that much time in church and then I started doing research and stuff and things didn't start to like add up in my head, I started questioning a lot of things. Do you guys ever go through that with your religion or your faith?
I think I want to say I go through questioning, but it's not to the extent of I might want to practice something else or believe in something else, just to keep myself mentally flexible in order to still have compassion and tolerance for others. So I'll agree with people's questions. Like we were talking before, when some people want to bash Christianity, I don't like it because, Team Black Jesus, but I also understand where they're coming from, because if you've experienced a lot of pain and hatred and anything from anything really, you're not going to have a good taste in your mouth about it. So I get where it's coming from. But in the same instance, I'm also like, don't group everyone off just because of this. Because to me, there's no such thing as church hurt. I don't have restaurant hurt because I had bad service and food from one. I don't have man hurt because I wasn't choosing right partners to be equally yoked with. So the church hurt thing, I'm like, miss me with that. Like, you can find a good group of people for whatever you believe in to get, a positive experience for whatever you want to practice. But it's hard when we're dealing with something like the spirit and just believing in something bigger than ourselves, because it's so sensitive. It's so raw, and I feel like that's when people are trying to be their most authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
When you're shut down for being your most authentic self or trying to figure out who you are, a lot of people don't bounce back too well from that.
So like, even though I don't claim it completely, because I've never really had issues in church other than my long ass Sundays where you stay 2 hours in the annex to eat donuts and drink Kool-Aid afterwards. That was like the most traumatic part of my Sundays, is that I spent that much time while my dad talked to all the other people at church. Like, there wasn't anything in particular that happened to me, but I still like questioned a lot of it. And maybe it has to do with the fact that I grew up in a multicultural home too, because, Okinawans aren't Christian. For the most part, there are Christian Okinawans, obviously, but like their original faith is not that. It's Sosensuhai, which is like ancestral, not quite worship, but like celebration, more like that. But like, so I guess my question is, do you guys think that because Christianity has so many denominations, like how do you discern which one to go with? Or does it even matter if you are only speaking of being non-denominational? You know what I mean? It's just like, I think me and Brandy talked about, like, people who are in covens and witchcraft. Like, there's different types of witches. I am not one of them, although I do crystal stuff and things like that. But that's a whole nother story in about a few minutes.
Definitely a witch. I
read But so, like, to me, like, there's so much like at war with each other, like Catholicism having their rules, and then you go to Judaism, and then you go to, all these other denominations, like Pentecostal churches. I remember my parents going to a Pentecostal church for a couple of years. I thought they had lost their mind.
That was I've been through the Pentecostal thing too.
I was like, because it's funny, because my mom didn't do it outside of the church, but to the church, you have to wear dresses or skirts. You can't wear pants. No jewelry other than your wedding ring. Nothing in your hair, nothing in your ears, no makeup, like all of that, right? Yes, girl. That's what I'm saying. Like,
nothing
so
in your hair.
Nothing.
But the hat matches the outfit. I can't.
I hate. But like, to me, that raises so many more questions than answers to me, because it's within the same umbrella of like Christianity, but there's so many different ways to do it. And if you really think about it, you guys know how many religions there are in the world? Pop quiz.
Now this book, the Baker Pocket Guide to World Religions.
For those of you who haven't read the darn book, it's somewhere around 4,200 religions across the world. And here's another interesting tidbit. Only 3 out of the 4,200 religions have missionaries, which is why I question the top 3 religions that are in the world, that they had to actually go out, conquer, and make people convert into their religion. Like, I have issues with that. You know what I'm saying?
Which I can understand, and I'm not saying it's right, but I can understand it's from a dictatorship, from a power standpoint. If I can, yes, cup, that is a beautiful mug. Your face in the cup you're drinking from, doll. You get compliments too, Dimitri.
Thanks.
You work in that red hoodie. Look at you.
I'm just waiting for props to come out.
But from a power standpoint, I understand it, because if I'm going to really run some people, I need you to fear me more than anything else. Because if you fear me, or you're fearing consequences from something, where it's like, hey, if you don't follow your king, God's going to punish you.
Right.
I understand why you guys were pushing it like that. It makes sense. I'm not saying it's right. But
here's the thing, though. They weren't trying. So there's like, I guess my question would be, how do you guys feel about the fact that, like, one of the first missionaries in Africa wasn't till the 1700s, right? So that means up until then, they was just living their lives, doing whatever religion they believed in. And like, what is it? In India, it wasn't till the late or mid to late 1800s that missionaries arrived for Christianity. And so to me, all the people that God had created up until that point, where did they go? Did they all go to hell? Because they weren't Christians? That's my problem. Like, I know this is crazy, but it's like, if you tell me somebody's Buddhist and somebody who is super Christian is like, oh, if you're not Christian, you're not going to make it to heaven. You can't tell me a child who died of illness, who didn't even know religion, or, who was a Buddhist, would go somewhere that's deep and dark and dangerous like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
totally get what you're saying. I always feel like there's loopholes in a lot of that stuff. It's like, I didn't pick up a Bible, so I was like probably like a teenager, and then like a dumbass, I went right to Revelations and closed that shit. I said, no, girl, because fun fact, I always start at the back of a book. I'll flip through the back first. I probably should blame Japan. I turned the book around. I'm like, let's see. Then I was like, oh, hell no.
Not with the Bible, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can. But again, unchurched, didn't know who was there to teach me anything.
That's true.
But I remember reading something in there. Please don't quote me on it because I'm not a Bible connoisseur. I don't fucking know. But there was something in there that basically he told, I don't remember who wrote Revelations, but he told him not to write something down that he was doing. To which I was like, well, shit, what's going to happen during this part? After, bowls gets filled this, trumpets are blowing that. If there's something you told them not to write down, maybe this is the loophole. Maybe surprise, first 1,000 get in free. The rest of you guys, I'm sorry. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm following this, I'm like, that would kind of give me peace about what you just said, because I thought about that stuff too, because I'm like, damn, what does happen to everybody else there? But I would say this, I don't like people that either check the Christianity box or they're like, hey, I'm Team Jesus, leading in with, you're going to hell. I've never experienced other religions doing that. Not saying that they don't, in just my experience, I've just never experienced them leading in with that.
Yeah.
And that's a fear tactic that I feel like does not work. Anybody that God's ever used me to help or lead them back to him, it's never been because I was like, you're going to hell, right? Because you're kind of you're gay. You laughing, but I'm being for real.
I mean,
I know you're for real. That's why I'm laughing.
That's never set well with me. I hate it. And then I ain't gonna put them all the way out there because we're all cool, but I got homies that are Jehovah Witness, like in deep. And apparently, like, if you out there, whether you gay, whether you just drinking, premarital sex, all that stuff, right? Your family's cutting you off. And not even like grandmom and them, talking about like your mom, you getting kind of separated communication-wise from your kid. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
As if they don't do nothing, though. That's what the part that pisses me off. Because all these people that pretend not to do shit. They're the worst ones. The worst ones.
Say it.
They're the most guilty. It's crazy. It's just to please the next person. It's not. Well, I'm sure that there are some people that, it's true in their heart and they really want to be good, and they think that if they abstain from all the things that will taint their spirit, that, if it makes them happy, it makes them happy, and they believe it. But at the same time, there's others that they do it just to please the next person. They do it so they can look good in the church, look good in the community. It's their social club. It's their reality. You know what I mean? That's who they deal with every day. So it's like being anywhere else, even outside of religion. In the workplace, people do shady shit to get ahead, and it's the same way with religion.
Did you or have you come out to like your faith community at all, or like?
I haven't even been talking to my faith. Like people I grew up with in the church, I really don't talk to them because it's been so long.
Gotcha.
Since I've been around them.
So like, to piggyback on what Dee was saying for other people, how do you guys feel about how people cherry pick what is and what isn't from the Bible? Because that's how I feel about like the LGBTQ issue is like, if you, because what is it, Leviticus has a whole bunch of stuff in there, and in general stances most Christians would say the Old Testament is not what we go by, and that's why the new one was created, and we follow a lot more of stuff that are in there. But being queer is in the Old Testament, but somehow they won't ignore that part of it. You know what I mean? They ignore the part about like
eating crab legs.
Eating crab, shellfish. You're not supposed to eat anything that's shellfish if it doesn't have a fin or scales out of the ocean. You're not supposed to eat it. So like crawfish, shellfish, all of that is out the window. We screwed because my dad was from Louisiana and that's all we ate. And I'm Asian, so you know, clams and stuff is my stuff. Football, people would have issues with that because you're touching dead pig skin. Tattoos. Oh shit, pulling out when you're having sex. Look at Brandy's face. Or clothing, fabric blends. You're not supposed to have any blended clothing with fabric blends. It can't be like part cotton and part something else, or fake fabric, or like polyester and things like that. You're not supposed to get divorced. Me and Brandy are
well, I'm definitely going
and look at Rob over here like divorced too. So like
I don't like them cherry picking like you were saying, since that was the main question. I'm not a fan of that at all. I feel like what this really comes down to, just to pull away from Christianity, I feel like this across the board with anything somebody's believing, or even to take kind of belief out of it for 2 seconds, people, to me, are going to do and believe what benefits them most.
True.
Whether they want to be a white witch, a black witch, believe in the zodiac stuff, worship their crystals, or, Jesus God, or whatever it may be. You're going to believe what benefits you the most, on top of where you were raised and everything else. That plays a part in it too. But there does come a time where you do get to choose if I'm going to keep doing what I was raised in doing, or if I'm going to do my own thing. And it's still going to be what you feel like benefits you most based off of where you're at and what you've experienced. And I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with, like you said, the whole cherry picking, especially if you're going to use it in a debate. So anybody debating against something, just because it's very easy to debate hard against the Bible, I'm not going to fact check you with the Bible to prove dinosaurs exist just to get you to
stop tapping the table.
You're not going. Sorry. You're not going. Now that I know it bothers you, I'm like, do it more.
No, it's loud. It's loud on the audio when I have to edit it out.
I'm loud on the audio, girl. Come on. Anyway, but I'm not gonna play that game, because even if I point out, okay, this was in the Bible and this was in the Bible, so now you have all these proofs, you don't really give a fuck about that shit. You just wanna do what you wanna do, and that's fine. But the back and forth and the cherry picking and the fact checking, it's exhausting, and it's defeating, I feel like, the purpose of this, which is for us to get along, to love each other, to not judge, to have compassion, and to help each other through this thing called life, like Prince was saying. So, yeah.
Do you think people come at Christianity because it is a predominantly available religion that a lot of people follow, even though there are different denominations? If you just put Christianity as a whole, it is dominant. You know what I mean? And also, like, again, going kind of back to missionaries and stuff, there's no other religion that tries to convert people into that religion. And so do you think that has a lot to do with it? Because a lot of wars have started in the name of Christianity. As a matter of fact, even though like our nation is supposed to have separate churches and government, like the whole abortion law right now that's going through is because senators and congressmen, men who should not even be bothered by all of this shit, are saying that in the name of their religion, which is Christianity, is what they're using to make laws into effect. Do you think that has a huge part of why people come at Christianity like the way they do? Because that's how I feel. I feel like people want to talk about Christianity and what's wrong with it, because there's so many things that are happening around us that people are actually basing Christianity as their reference to why they should or shouldn't do something, abortion or prayer in school, or you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what it, because I feel, me personally, just me, nobody else, my opinion is that Christianity was like super whitewashed at a very, very early stage, because like the missionaries that went to like Africa, for example, they weren't called just missionaries, they weren't called pastors, they were literally called the white fathers. To me, that gives me a very weird feeling in my tummy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real unsettling. You know what I mean? Or like, have you guys seen the movie? And Rob's gonna laugh. Have you? Because I always reference this shit. Have you guys seen the movie Gods of Egypt?
No, girl, because it was all white folks.
Okay, but here's the thing: it was all white folks that were gods. Yeah. All the peasants and all the slaves were all brown and black people, which would make sense that the people who lived there were those colored. But if you're worshiping within your own kind, your gods would be the same color, which is why I had such a fucking issue with it. And the only black god that was there was that one girl that got killed real quick. That the goddess.
I'm glad I didn't want to see it.
You should watch it. You should watch it. I know. No. Well, because I it's me. I like to watch and listen to things from both sides, which is also why I follow like Donald Trump on Twitter, because I like to keep one eye open when I sleep. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. But you know what I mean? But I
get it.
It's like, is everything so whitewashed because they conquered everything? And is that...
I think they use that as a tool.
Right.
They use that as a tool to conquer. So not only did they couldn't only just conquer the people to take the land, they have to conquer the people in their minds. So you break somebody down by their mind and get in there and rewire them to move the way you move. Instead of you being the oppressor, they look at you as the hero. You see what I'm saying? So that's why in our own nation, every superhero, everything that's great that they show is always somebody white.
Movies
like Jesus hanging from a cross is a white man, usually in the United States, which blows my fucking
mind.
Is
crazy. The description in the Bible literally says like sun-kissed and like woolly hair. Like,
yeah.
Like,
and they were still like, nope. You Negroes don't get this one. Sorry.
No, not Negroes. No. But no, seriously, it's weird. Like, because they took whatever religions were out there before the missionaries came. Like, if you think about it, all the things that were happening in like Africa or Asia, they call it New Age now. That shit is not New Age. It's the original religion of those countries. And those people who were like, I don't know, fire breathers or whatever. Like, it's weird to me that we flip the script on the original content of all the things that are happening.
But to be fair, the New Age thing, and I know you'll feel where I'm coming from on this, I almost put it on the same pedestal as when we were talking about the, when like every company was all of a sudden supporting.
Oh, Pride? Rainbow capitalism? That's what I call it.
Right, yeah, rainbow capitalism. So I almost feel the same way, New Age capitalism. Because
you're not wrong.
Now than ever, it's just easier to access things, right? Mm-hmm. So once upon a time where you would have probably been stoned to death for holding your crystal and flipping a card, you get them bitches like that now. So again, if anything, to me, it's like a money thing. And I feel the same way about some churches. I know some people go hard about that too. Mm-hmm. And the pastors being pimps and everything else. And I've had like one bad experience with that where I remember a pastor saying after he like prayed the paint off the walls, right? And everybody's riding the wave and feeling good. He goes, I just feel like the Lord is telling me that that money that you had saved up for your light bill or for other, you need to trust that he's going to take care of it. And you just need to give it now. Just give it to us now. And I remember being like,
shit.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I left.
Wow.
I rolled out. And then I remember being stopped. I got stopped by one of the white gloves because, the ladies in the white gloves.
Man, they in charge.
Listen, I thought we was going to have a dance off. It was like, are we going to have to touch? You got to go. I'm not. Okay, I'm not playing with you. Like, no. And she's like, oh, you can't leave while pastor's praying. And I'm like, who can't? I didn't grow up in church, so I don't give a fuck. I feel uncomfortable. I'm rolling out. And it's moments like that where I feel like using the phrase that I hate other people using, but I use it. Stop. God knows my heart on this one. I'm rolling.
So
that's fucked up.
So on piggybacking on that, I found, do you remember me talking about these notes that I got from a business networking thing I went to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is it, y'all. I know people listening can't see. If you want to look, go online. But this is from, I want to say last year, beginning of last year. So sometime in January of 2018 is when I took these notes. Okay. It's by this guy. I forget his freaking name. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I'll look it up later and try to post it. Anyway, he is a guy who helps people become better talkers in front of people, like presenters. So he helps people like Russell Simmons, like celebrities, talk in front of like cameras and things like that. That's his job, is to coach them into like communication skills, basically. So one of the things I want you guys to do it too. Like, cross your arms real quick. Just cross your arms. Like, Randy, like what do you do? Now cross them the other way, because that's your comfort cross.
Okay, bitch. Read it. I don't like this one.
Okay, see how uncomfortable that is? Yeah. It's uncomfortable because it's not the way you want to cross it, right? If you're listening, you should do it with this. Now, even though it's uncomfortable, you guys can do it, definitely, yeah? It's possible to do. Now, this whole conversation leads into this guy telling us to buy his courses and stuff, and more than half the people in that room got up and bought it because he had already tricked them into making moves that he wants him to do. Mm-hmm. On top of that, let me get to these notes. This was like really crazy because it was
I'll just uncross my arms because I don't trust you. Go
ahead. I learned a lot. Let me just tell you that. I learned a lot. So for example, vocal control, like my buttery voice that's happening right now.
Nice so, and buttery.
In order to create excitement, you go loud and fast, right? If you want to emphasize something, you go loud and slow. If you want to tap into somebody's emotion, you go low and slow. And if you want them to engage more, you go low and quiet so that people listen to you. And while you are doing that, the one thing the guy did was make us stand up, turn to each other, and talk to our neighbors and say hello and tell them one thing like specific. I can't remember what it was. Does that sound familiar to y'all? Turn to your neighbor.
Oh yeah, turn to your neighbor. All that bullshit. Give 5 people hey for Jesus. I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody.
The entire time I was in that business conference, I had goosebumps while he was talking because it was literally like being at church, except for the content was business management. Mm-hmm. I shit not.
So then there's the question then. What is the difference between a pastor and a motivational speaker?
There isn't one. The scary part of this is that originally there were no Black pastors, no Black preachers. That's where I'm getting at. If you think about it. Oh, what was that weird scream in the background?
Somebody who needed Jesus.
I don't know if that was like perfect timing. But what I'm trying to get to is, so how much of all of this, it doesn't even matter if it's Christianity, it's Buddhism too, and so is Islam, because those 3 religions are the only 3 religions that have missionaries who do the same things that the other 2 does, which makes me question the validity of all of this. Because if you even go in like further, like is Hinduism with Krishna?
I can look it up.
I'm pretty sure I have it on my thing too. I'm pretty sure, yeah. If you go back, I think I talked about this with Dee one time, like a while ago, and like the reason why in the original Bible Jesus' name is Yeshua is because it's closer to Krishna. And it like changed while it's kept getting translated because you can't. Yeah. So here's also another thing. I had it somewhere. I know I Because you know who I am. I have to be sure.
I do. I know who you are. I judge not.
Okay, so there's more than like 100. I'm not going to go over all of them, but there's a whole bunch of points in the Krishna stories that are exactly the same as the Jesus stories. And that's why I have an issue, because it was about 3,200 years before Jesus's stories were put out into the world that the Krishna stories were there.
But when we talked, when you and I were talking last week, we were talking about other religions that also have the same parallels between the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but just in different ways.
Right, but so
India, Egypt, or what have you.
This one in particular is like no contest, because Krishna. So I'm gonna just read it real quick, just like a few. So they were, let's see, both sent from heaven to earth in a form of man to save mankind, and both called a God or son of God. They were called Savior, and they were the second person of the Trinity. It's the same thing, Trinity, because no other religions have that other than like Christianity and Hinduism, right? Their actual father was the spirit or ghost. That's the third one. They were, I can't even compute my cell phone right now. Hold on. Oh, they were all visited by wise men and shepherds and guided by a star. That's crazy too. Both of them have angels that issued like warnings about the dictator that were planning to kill the baby. Let's see. Mary and Joseph stayed in Materia. Is that how you say it? I think Materia.
Is that how you say it?
Okay. And Krishna's parents stayed in Mathura, and it's almost the same spelling. One's Muturea, the other one is Mathura, and I'm pretty sure the pronunciation is probably close. I'm just like butchering it right now. Let's see. There's a few more. There's like the Lion of the tribe of Judah and the Lion of the tribe of Saki. Judah is, Jesus, and Saki was for Krishna. Both of them claim to be the resurrection, and like it keeps going. Like it's not even like just because what we talked about was, I was saying that there are very similar morals and stories to keep mankind, like the 10 commandments, like thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not like covet other women, people's like husbands, wives, whatever. Those are pretty much the same across the board. Now the problem with this one is that Krishna isn't just like the moral behind the stories. It's like literally the stories are the same, the happening sequences are the same, except for the books are 3,200 or 3,300 years apart. That's the issue that I have. Like I can't.
I don't even have an issue with that, so to speak. I have an issue with, like we talked about before, and you can chime in on this because I know you probably had more negative experiences with it than I have. But it's like, technically, to me, whether it's faith-based or our history books, you can question all this shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All of it's up for question. If we're going to open it up and play that game, all of it is up for question. All of it is up for debate. What is really the truth? That's when I go into, I feel like it's something you experience, because I promote people doing their research, and I even tell my son, I can't pick and choose for you because you're going to have to live your life the way you live it.
Right.
For yourself, because I'm not going to be here all the time. But question everything. Research as much as you can. Read the book they tell you to read, and then read the books they don't want you to read. You know what I mean? Like, really,
yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, it's exactly, like, go both sides. But I'm like, hell, it's all up for debate. But what I can appreciate is what you just laid out, and not completely bashing something else, but being like, this is what caused my split, or this is what caused me to go this way. Some people do so much research where they're like disrespecting somebody else's religion or culture or whatever they want to get into. Like, how could you, because the slave masters beat it into? Or how could you, because this book was done 2 million years before this book? Okay, were you fucking there?
Right.
None of us were.
My dad used to say that.
No, we don't know none of this shit. It's all a fucking Wikipedia click away to be like, well, this and that. experience.
So do you think it's more of personal feelings and personal experience that lead you to?
I think that's what it should be. That's what it should be, but it's not. People like to control and take other people's money, so they use religion to do that. But I think it should be a personal,
I got one for you.
Experience.
$500 for this anointed pen. Like, serious.
Yes. Have you seen the little pouches of water though?
Man.
The little pouches of water. These people were talking about how much money they got. I didn't owe the IRS no more. They called me and told me the whole thing was squashed.
Those late, isn't it those late night calls?
The late night ones.
Who was that guy with the red scarf that sold the fucking red handkerchief shit? I can't remember. Was it's not Credo Dollar, is it? No.
Creflo?
It wasn't Creflo.
I must say Credo. Who Credo?
I don't know.
Credo and Creflo.
I can't remember his name, but I know there was some serious shit in the middle of the night when you watched like BT and
I know what you're talking about. It was like a little prayer cloth.
Yeah, but he had like a big one. It was like a red scarf.
Was that the one that would yell, that would come on after a BT Uncut?
I think so.
It would be like, God.
You're terrible. And we're like, yes, BET Uncut, because we were 12 and watching.
Okay, BET Uncut. I'm trying to kick it tonight.
I'm sorry.
Tell me what that thing.
But isn't it weird that like all this, like we, I think, are like aware enough of the world that we can have these conversations and not be at each other's throats, right? But that's only 3 of us. The rest of the world doesn't really work that way. That's why it's so like interesting to me to see that so many people are so gung-ho about one religion, because I'm like, what if yours is wrong? What if it wasn't the right one?
And then you find out after you die. Sorry.
I'm saying,
that's bullshit.
Can I give you a theory on this? Can I give you
my whole motherfucking life trying to get my shit together, and this shit ain't real?
Yo, and then
like, what the fuck? And all that shit.
You get there, and there's Krishna, arms, blue, everything like, buddy, wrong one.
Zeus? What the fuck?
Is he there with his tripod and shit? Like, no. So here's, I have a theory, because I do have, like, I was telling Dee, I think the stories in the Bible or wherever it's coming from, the stories I think are very important to build morale in the, like, being righteous and helpful and loving, like you said, Randy, to like everybody else in the world, right? You know that, oh my God, what freaking book is it from? The one about the mansions. There's many rooms in my father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
He's like, sure. I think so. Something about that. Like, so
I'm like, again, I'm not a Bible connoisseur, so you can't.
No, you're good. Yeah, I don't remember like chapters and verses, but I can remember stories.
Although I do have a book, Know Your Bible. All 66 books explained and applied.
Wow, she got serious with them books. But no, so here's my theory on this. And I like it, I don't know when, but it like clicked in my head one day, and I was like, this has got to be it, because if there's 4,200 religions, and again, this is my opinion, nobody else's. If there's 4,200 religions, and in the book they talk about there are many mansions, what if those mansions are different religions and all the good people get to go? I'm just saying.
That would definitely help me sleep better at night.
I'm just saying, because like I said earlier, I just don't believe that the God that I believe in would let a baby go to hell because he wasn't Christian. You know what I mean? Like, cause
no, I get what you're coming on that, but because I'm pessimistic, maybe melancholy,
melancholy. That's yours.
I'm me. I'm like, I wouldn't care what I believed in. Ain't no way we all go into some special good place. I just don't believe in that, because I still believe across the board of a principle of a good and evil, light and dark, yin and yang, whatever. So
that's what I mean, though. Like, just not anybody just in any way.
I think everybody ain't going, but
even like heart is good.
Okay. Well, then that breaks down into other stuff. Again, not to make it all about Christianity, but it's like, if we even take Christianity off the board and other religions, what makes a good heart? What makes you good?
Well, that goes back to, I think, all the morals that are straight across the board, pretty similar in all religions. That's what I mean. Not killing, not stealing, not doing all of those.
So what do you think
that comes from? Somebody.
What do you mean? Which part comes from?
The whole thing. Say what you just said again.
Like not stealing, not. I think that just is.
So do you think that's a human thing? That it's just a human principle?
I think it's
what we think is wrong.
I think it's a human principle that got started because, so here's another split hair kind of situation, right? Because if you are a hardcore Christian, you don't believe in evolution.
Right.
So that makes it hard for my explanation to stand. And I understand that logically because I will never forget what my dad said one time though, because I was debating his ass about science because I have a science brain. Like someone, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a science brain. I was debating my dad hard because I was like in AP Bio, like learning, like I studied genetics and I wanted to go into all of that. And I will never forget when he was like, in Genesis, when they talk about God building earth and the world in 7 days, there's no time limit on that. I was like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
It was like one day didn't equal our 24 hours. There's no description.
There was no such thing as 24 hours at that point because
nothing was given.
Oh, so you're saying God didn't have an Apple Watch?
He didn't have an Apple Watch. He didn't have none of that. So what I'm saying is, if you can wrap your mind around that, then evolution is possible, even if you are religious. If you don't, then you have to go the other route, which I totally understand. But to answer what Dee was saying about the origin of do good, don't do evil, I think that it had to be a community situation because at some point when humans started off, I'm sure there was taking of things happening. You know what I mean? And even if you study the animal kingdom, there's communities where there is a leader and they make sure that their community is protected. And in order to do that, there are rules. We can't understand them because they're animals and we don't speak their language, but we've studied them to the point where we know.
Nigel Thornberry.
I thought the same thing to me. It took everything in me not to say it, so I'm so happy you said it. And with your claw.
With your face. Stop clawing at the cameras, both of you. Oh my God. But you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't obvious that there had to be something in the original being of us.
And I like what you said using animals because, and I'm disclaimer, especially for future jobs and everything else.
It's too late.
Listen, future jobs.
Episode 3 is out. Episode 3.
Listen, all right. They're going to be like, we ain't never hiring this bitch to be nobody's teacher. What? Now I'll just be selling vegan pies.
No, ma'am.
Even in the animal kingdom, I'm like, well, you're killing, but you're killing to survive.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, thou shalt not kill, but if I need to kill you, I will do it. Again, disclaimer, I ain't saying it out here like I'm just going.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But it's like, and then I also believe in doing the wrong things for the right reasons to a certain extent.
Agreed.
I get why people do the little white lies like, honey, you look great. I don't want to hear her. I don't want to argue. So I'm just going to say something. Or I'm going to withhold information because I already know how you're going to act. I'm not saying it's right. As I'm getting older and being less judgmental, I get why people do it. Yeah. I just get it. And I've been in those positions. So I get it. Do I feel like someone's going to hell for it? No. Do I feel like any religion needs to go that hard where they're like, you lied about A, B, and C. So now in this confessional booth, or now, strip back and whip yourself. Like, hell no.
But I'm not. That's the scary part.
No safe words. Yeah.
No.
Sorry, last episode. Sorry.
What was that movie? Was it Da Vinci Code?
It was. He was tearing his back up, girl.
Chance, put the bottle down. I hate you. This ain't no the Gatorade story was last time.
Couldn't help myself.
But no, like seriously, like if you think about it, I feel like at some point like it was meant well, and then of course we're humans, so emotions and all these other complicated things got involved, and that's why we have wars claiming religion to be the reason, or laws put into place claiming religion to be the reason, and like it just got crazy. I just think
so. The reason why I asked you that is because a conversation that I had with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He told me he believed it. So the way he broke it down to me, he was saying that a lot of the religions across the board pretty much all have the same principles. He thinks at one time it all was one religion. And it spread, and just like the denominations of Christianity spread within the United States, so did religion itself broke up into different branches and pieces. And you have different cultures taken from it, and it alters, it gets changed based on your environment. Sometimes this spirit might turn into this animal that you're familiar with seeing every day, instead of being an angel. It's all kinds of things can happen. That's what he thinks. He thinks that everything has the same basis, where you're supposed to be good, you're not supposed to do bad, and everybody's supposed to love one another because at one time it was supposed to be that way. And we fucked it up.
Well, so on that note, if you are Christian and believe that we all spoke one language, that fucking stands, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until the tower was built and God was like, hell nah, we taking all that shit away.
Is that what God was like, CJ?
Hell nah, that's what he said.
That's what God said. Oh, these niggas working together? Fuck all that.
No,
fuck all that. He ain't trying to come. Y'all ain't coming up here. No way. But if the whole Tower of Babel, right? Tower of Babel was the situation, then what D is saying would have stood, because that means like everything split. And here's another thing. I probably need to find the picture, and like I think it might be on my phone. So Buddhism. I have a thing. I really need to reread that book. It's called
I know what you're talking about.
Lost Years of Jesus.
Lost Years of Jesus. He went out east. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring that book next week. I'm gonna be like Brandy and like.
Oh my God! And pose. Yeah.
So in the Bible, clearly from age 13 to 30, his story is just snip, snip out of the world, right? There's nothing. All of a sudden he's 13, and then next thing you know, he's 30. And in between, there's like no...
Same Jesus. Same.
But so in this theory, and I kind of happen to think that it might be true, is that he went east to teach his teachings to the people in the east from where he was at. And that's why it spread out to like East Asia and all the other parts of Asia. Now, Buddhism, if you think about it, is basically enlightenment, which is also considered resurrection in other parts of religion, right? And the Buddhist statue itself, originally, if you look at the original ones, you know how it has like little dots and stuff?
Yeah.
If you look at the original one, the nose is wider too, and it looks like a black statue. I shit you not. I have to find it and send it to you. And so over time, they had slimmed down the nose, slimmed down the eyes, and slimmed down all of this. But in the beginning, it literally looks like a tribal person from Africa who had hair like wool, who was darker, because Buddha was a darker statue back in the day and had a wider nose. So to me, if the stories are right, and Jesus, whether his name was Jesus or not, if that person who went to spread the word did travel east, that's what happened to me. Like it's so crazy, because that's why there's so many similarities between the two, because like I said, Islam, Buddhism, and Christianity are the only three religions that are considered missionary religions. The other 4,197 do not have missionaries.
They're not on their grind. That's the problem. Get your shit together. Get on your grind.
But you know what I mean? Like it's so interesting to think about. I'm gonna have to reread that book for real, because it's been...
No, it sounds interesting as hell.
When I'm done, I'm gonna send it to you because I have your address now.
No, you're not creepy at all.
Not the one.
Not at all. But you know what I mean? Like it's insane how much like similarities there are between all the religions. Like because you don't really think about it when you're talking or going to church, or like pastors don't talk about it. Preachers
you're talking about what you're not supposed to think about. Some pastors are just as bad as our history teachers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to tell you what I want you to know.
Oh
and
yeah.
To a certain extent, I get it. Like I was saying earlier, from a power standpoint, I get it. From the mind fuckery of it all, I get it. But it's also like, why not? If I'm gonna run a church, the first thing I'm going to do is get them their own book so they can understand everybody else, just from the standpoint of showing love and being compassionate. And we lost so much of that. It's not even funny. And I understand why there's people that are like, I don't believe in anything, which I believe you do still believe in something. You just don't know you do, but you still believe in something.
You believe in it, you don't want to believe in it. That's why you're so angry.
Right.
It's weird.
I hate that for people.
It is really weird, because I'm just like, if you don't have something, I think people in nature is to have something to believe in so they can move forward. Because if you are within yourself always, I don't think you can get through stuff that easily. Like,
you're right.
You know what I mean?
To give people hope.
So,
have you ever seen the Hunger Games? The Hunger Games?
I've only seen like 1.5 movies. I know what it's about.
The concept.
Yes, I totally understand.
You mean what's about to happen to us now?
Kinda. Just a smidge.
I mean, good luck to y'all, because I got my shit together. How about you?
She's on her grind.
I'm not gonna. I'm not volunteering for shit. So they can keep that. Like, but like on the same note, so like, I just watched a video about these two guys talking. I think I sent you guys the links. It's I'm not gonna name it right now.
You probably did.
It was a while ago, like a few days ago, but like, I'm not gonna name them, because eventually, hopefully, maybe they'll get on our podcast. I don't know. They like to do that shit. But they were talking about how, how this new generation of, like, all of us, I feel like, are so fixated on manifesting like positivity in our lives. And okay, so now I'm gonna go the opposite direction. These guys are clearly Christian, and they were talking about how when you look with it, like, the only entity from the Bible that were about themselves all the time was Lucifer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're saying that when you're like, I am, which is like the words he used to be himself and manifesting things in this world, they were saying that you are kind of buying into the Luciferian, like, I guess, thought process, because it's crazy. I know. I'm gonna send you some articles. Yeah, because the manifestation thing, if you think about it, is not Christian at all. But for whatever reason, it's kind of like that cherry picking situation. It never got played out like it was evil, other than by these two guys that I was watching.
And I feel like it's more popular now than anything, kind of like the rise. Not that I don't feel like it hasn't been said before, but I've just noticed the rise in saying the universe and just kind of not even saying the word God anymore.
Right.
The universe, nature, anything else, but
they're intertwined. I don't think it's one or the other.
Right. I'm like, it's all, but it's just, I get why people do it, because it's easier to digest to say the universe, because then I don't have to worry about saying God, because then you're going to be like, well, what God? Because now we're dealing with a lot of gods.
Right.
To a lot of people, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, what God are you talking about? Which is why I purposely say Jesus God. It makes people chuckle, but I'm like, just to let you know where the fuck I'm at with this shit. So you know what I mean? So that's interesting. Professor CJ, question.
Are you raising your hand? I hate you.
You remember how people used to be like this? Like they was just waiting so tired from raising their hand? Like, shut the fuck up and say the right answer so we can move.
Oh no.
God.
Becky.
Not Becky.
Sorry to Becky's ass.
No, but what were you gonna say?
What do you think? And I can't believe I didn't think about this. And we got to watch our time too.
Yes, we're getting there.
What do you think about the people that are like the super pro blacks that are like, we're gods, like the black people's gods?
So that's what that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if they're doing that, there's no mention of that in the Bible. So how are they connecting that with themselves? Because they're calling themselves kings and queens, right? and gods and stuff like that. And if you are calling yourself God, in the Bible, it literally says, don't worship anything else but me, because I'm a jealous God. So if you are calling yourself God, are you worshiping yourself enough to manifest whatever you want into the world because that's you believe in yourself more than anything else? So at that point, are you not putting God first anymore? Is he second? You know what I mean?
But what about this? Whenever you hear like, oh, he's the most high God. So when you say he's the most high God, is that implying that there are other gods and he's just the most high?
See,
and are those other gods us?
That's gonna be like because then you could go into image, right? That's the next one. But so like
that makes sense because it would have to acknowledge the fact that I know there's other gods, but I'm here, niggas.
Right.
I'm on my grind.
And so like for that part, like when I was studying Kemetic religions, which is an Egyptian, I guess old African Egyptian religion, like way before all the other religions too. Some of the hieroglyphics that are on the wall actually have the words in my image, and what's on the wall is a picture of a bigger being holding a smaller being that looks like themselves. And so
is that when they're like in their hand and they're like, girl,
small, it looks like a small child, but it's a literal copy in the hieroglyphics actually saying, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but it's like I made you in my own image. So that's why I have like this thing where I'm like, if they've taken it from that and added this and added that, like what exactly are we using to believe in anything really? That's why it goes back to your conversation with the highest, the almighty, your higher power, whatever you believe in has to be from within yourself. It's like so many contradictory things that go on in religion to me that you have to personalize it. You have to, because if it's not
in Las Vegas, all kinds of
not you better
people doing.
I'm sure I've been there a few times and I've seen some shit with D.
It's Sin City, D.
I mean,
baby.
Literally. And, you know, like, so that's why I feel like no matter what religion you're talking about, or even people who are scientifically studying things, or like parapsychology, that's another thing that I love. Like, I don't know if they realize that there are so many parallels between so many religions and texts and all these other things that are like available to you. Because if you even think about people who talk about the universe and they talk about light beings and light energy, but then if you translate that into Christianity, it's literally angels, right? Because the description is that they're light beings.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's shit like that. So like to me, I don't think that's why my theory on the mansion thing, like the all the rooms that he's preparing.
That was actually a cute little theory because I ain't never thought about it. Like
right, because I feel like it's a possibility. Obviously, like we could all be wrong. We could like show up.
If I'm wrong, I'm boxing.
It could be like elves, gnomes, and fairies up there. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm fighting some being on site.
But it's just so interesting. She said on site. It's just so interesting because like people who are fighting over the details and how something is written are like so blinded by the fact that they're like fighting those hair-splitting details and forgetting to love one another, forgetting to care for each other.
Come on, pass that head out. Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I think me and Dee talked about this. The fucking Vatican has so many texts that are underneath, but nobody has access to it. We can't go there and check it out. Like if I told them I was like Catholic, I can't go there and be like, yo, can I get a pass to get inside? So
this shit is vital information for your everyday life.
Did you know?
Have this shit locked away.
Those people who have access to it, there's only a few that can go and roam in there, right? And people who do get to go in there, do you know they have to name the book and like the page number that it might be or might not be on?
Like, and y'all don't go like that's in weird? There? Like, that's weird as fuck.
Man, you trying to storm the Vatican.
Storm the Vatican. Forget Area 51.
I'm like, why you playing the Vatican's probably going to be a bit more guarded instead of Area 51 might be easier. Let's take the easy one.
I mean, you're right. I think the Vatican would have even.
I don't think they playing over there, and that's not something I'd want to fuck with.
Like it's even worse. I think it's even worse.
Wu-Tang Clan and the Vatican ain't nothing to fuck with. We got oh my God, conspiracy confirmed. The V's, the Wu-Tang.
The Wu-Tang.
Conspiracy
I cannot stand your face.
The truth is fucking out there.
I mean, like if you think about, or like the Dead Sea Scrolls, or what's the new one? The Emerald Scrolls, right?
Emerald Scrolls. What the fuck is that all about? I keep seeing that everywhere.
There's like that's a whole nother episode, y'all, because I can't get into that without like really getting into that. There's so much.
There's no dipping your toe into that.
Like y'all already know, if you want to talk conspiracy theories, CJ is the one, but I need about 10 hours of your time, and I don't think our listeners are up for that today. I'm sure they died listening to it 3 hours last time.
I can't believe some people did it. I was like, damn, y'all really down.
Well, Rob broke it down to like 2 or 3 days. Today he told me he got to the Gatorade story and just looked at me. So look at DS. I can't.
He's gonna be on a bottle of Gatorade.
Oh my God. Sponsored. Yeah, they're definitely not gonna sponsor us for that. Stop putting that bottle in the.
Don't put us in a box, CJ. We're manifesting with the universe, bitch.
I mean, so like I believe in manifestations completely, because I feel like once you write it down, once you do whatever you're doing with it, if you are smart enough to understand that you can't just like write it down and go to bed. You have to write it down and then work on it. You know what I'm saying? That's like two different things. And I think that gets into a whole nother religion too, because some people do think that you can write it down, burn it into the air, and it'll just happen to you. You know?
Like the Avatar shit?
Huh? The what? The what is it?
You said Avatar?
Did you say Avatar?
Yeah, because all I heard was burning, then I thought about firebenders. I was like, what type of Avatar shit?
Oh my God. I mean, it's close. I mean, people, burn stuff away. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just not.
Right.
That's not my thing.
Yeah, I don't fully believe into it, but I have a friend that's into a lot of different stuff like that. I got a couple friends. Because, surprise, I can talk to everybody, be friends with everybody. Shocker.
Military brat life. That's that
man, word. What? That's all of us. That is really all of us. That's why this works. The triangle. And that's what I'll use for the screenshot. But I've done little things to enhance my prayer time.
Right.
Because I figured, sacrificing people is going to be off the table.
Yeah.
So I'll do something small, like, dim the lights, light a candle that's like a certain smell to it, calming properties. Not turn high.
I was thinking about the song.
That snake move you did. No. This was for prayer, not for anything else.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But I felt like it helped me be more calm, be more zoned in, and be more focused, which is why I understand why people go about certain ways of meditating, and like you said, they're burning of the paper, or even when people write down what they want to let go of going into the new year, tie it to a balloon and let it go.
Right.
Little stuff like that, I don't see anything wrong with. But again, we'll have people splitting hairs, like you said earlier, and just so quick to make somebody feel wrong and bad and demonic for something.
What you just described. Yeah.
And I don't feel like my relationship with God was compromised at all for doing that, or like I brought something into my house because I decided to light a candle, read, and pray. You know what I mean? Like it's not that deep.
Right? I don't know what the fuck is up with that. That shit trips me the fuck out. How people, it trips me out, especially when it comes to music, because I heard somebody ranting earlier this year about Christian rap.
Mm-hmm.
And how they said it's not of God. And I said, but a bunch of old motherfuckers screaming in robes is? Like, who said that was okay?
The nature.
But Christian rap, you know what I'm saying, is not. Like, who are you to say that something's of God as if you are God? Fuck out of here.
It's really weird. I was just thinking, I have actually been to a church service one time. I just remembered they made us, or not everybody, but they asked people who wanted to write down like something that was like on their hearts or prayers they wanted to do, write it down, and they burned it in the church. Like, I just creepy. It is, but if you think about it, Catholics have incense in that little swingy thing that they use. They burn that sucker in the church too.
Oh yeah,
you're saying that. That didn't like turn me off or be like creepy to me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just need that visual or something symbolic.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Like sometimes some people need that, but I almost feel like it's what you tie into it depending on what it is.
And so
people go off the deep end, they kind of figure, without this crystal necklace,
oh my God,
I can't leave the house. Something's gonna happen to me if I don't have it. No, bitch. Like something's gonna happen if it's gonna happen.
That's what I mean. Like, so, like, where is the line drawn, right? Because a lot of, like I was talking about, like a lot of witches who are good witches use symbolism to do all of those things. They're not actually like sacrificing things. I feel like people think that they're out in the backyard killing squirrels and chickens or something.
Well, if they're not, they're boring.
Oh my God.
If you're not killing squirrels, are you really a witch?
But that's what I mean though. Like, so that's basically like some witches just burn candles and burn things that they wrote things onto and throw crystals on top of it and talk into the universe about it.
But you know what? If we're going to even take that and trill it, take it back.
Uh-oh.
I feel like...
Stop tapping the table.
My bad. It's the black in me. I'm sorry. It was tapping or clapping. Tapping or clapping.
Clap isn't better.
This is more silent, bro. You got to just roll with
it. I'll start doing this. This is how I feel. I feel like breaking through.
I hate all of it. You see how they be off task every episode, y'all? If you're listening to this on a podcast, go to YouTube and check out Stamp. I'm gonna put.
CJ's the only one that stays on task. CJ's the only one that has her shit together.
Clearly, yeah.
I was talking to someone. I was talking to someone a few months back that practices a different religion. I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like this whole witch hunt and the everything else was just a plight on smart women that wanted to do shit how they wanted to do it. And these white men were like, hell no. Oh, you know how to read by yourself? Or I didn't teach you this? Witchcraft. Oh, you talking back? Witchcraft. I don't feel like all of that was really based in
rebellion. Have you ever heard that rebellion is a form of witchcraft?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Exactly.
You guys know.
Like, if you're not going to listen to what I tell you and I'm your husband and I own you.
Well, yeah.
Witchcraft. Get out of here.
They took out the book of Madeline out of the Bible. You guys know that? Lady Madeline. Jesus's partner.
She was in the Bible. Or she
wrote a book. They took it out because it was written by a woman.
Mary? Okay. I thought you said Madeline at first. I was like, who the fuck is Madeline?
Mary Magdalene.
Magdalene.
Okay. I was like, girl.
G was not like strong enough.
Say text back.
Madeline? It's Madeline.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they took that book out. It exists. It exists, but a lot of
I have not heard that theory.
I'm going to send it to you.
I know you will because you got it all, girl. I know you got it all.
But it's along the lines of women being oppressed. It's kind of similar to what's happening right now with our uteruses in the lawmaking, like, scene. Like, how you gonna tell me what I'm gonna do with my uterus? I can't go with that. Like,
I think they talk about that in Timothy too. Basically, shut the fuck up in church, and not in so many words, I'm sure.
Not in those words.
Not in those words.
But I know what you mean. Yes.
But taking that all the way back, that's what triggered me to think about that. Cause I remember thinking about it like, damn, they was really killing these women. I'm like, I don't feel like it was all what but again, we weren't there. We only know what they're passing down and telling us. But if we think about it in the terms we're at now,
right,
especially the feminist movement, which I really felt like was to benefit white women first, and then maybe
we'll talk about that. I don't know if you want to be on that one.
That's for another podcast.
We're gonna be raging and ranting for that one.
Girl.
I'll just have Dee just pull up props in the background.
She'll just be ready.
What? Stop. What is that? What is that today? Garlic Alfredo sauce?
Barilla.
Are you about to make dinner after this?
No. Oh, he said he is dinner, baby.
No, okay, serious question, Dee. Where are you set up at? Because you
are you gonna pour it on yourself?
I'm outside.
You're outside?
I'm on the side of the road.
Oh my God, he's on the side of the road. He has Minute Maid.
Are you selling this stuff? Why do you have Minute Maid boxes?
I think he's selling himself. He did say he was on the side of the road. Oh my God, do you know what he's out there with? He pours it on him. He's like, drop it low for Jesus. Keep the Lord in mind.
I cannot.
That song is a little too good.
We're about 7-Eleven coffee to stay.
Oh God.
Tea is mint medley.
Mint medley. That's great.
I just told him I'm not outside.
I'm done.
So the camera went that way. You can see.
I saw you. You lied to us. That's a sin.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not on the side.
You lied to us. And liars go to hell, Dee.
Oh, see what man, there were so many more things I wanted to talk about.
Well, there could be a part 2. I'm pretty sure.
Should we do a part 2 next week?
I don't mind.
I kind of want to get into like this gonna hype up Brandy, like crystals in the Bible.
Oh, and the vortex. We need to talk about the
vortex. That's the vortex. Hype me up because we talked about that for a little bit.
No, I meant like for the people to hear your side of the story. Not like us, just us.
I'm like, did I do something with a crystal and tell you or something?
Probably. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
I became like obsessed with amethyst, and then that became a thing to some people. And I'm like, I just like fucking amethyst, but okay.
But the vortex thing, Dee, are we gonna do that next episode, or do we want to save it for Oktoberfest?
We gotta save the crazy, creepy shit for Blocktoberfest, aka Spooksville.
Because I feel like, so if those of you listening, October is gonna be our like super spooky stories and craziness, and there's a couple like me and Dee have done together, and Dee and Brandy I think went on scavenging hunts or whatever.
You remember the ghost tour we took y'all to?
I do remember.
So this is not just stories of like each one of us like just experiencing it by ourselves. Oh my God. I have a really good story from one of my friends. I'm going to ask him if I can tell it without his name. Well, if I don't use his name, I think I can tell it, right?
Of course.
Of course. Like, I'm not.
His name is Ralph.
Don't lie.
Ralph. I thought he really put the boy on blast. I was like, no.
No, not even close. Not
even.
No,
I'm saying for the sake of telling the story.
Oh, like, for like the sake of using a name. Yeah. Right. We can probably do that.
Yeah, but we should save like the crazy creepy stuff. That way we can have 5 shows?
It's gonna be 5 episodes of October awesomeness.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who was yelling in the background, Dee?
These chillins are not told to be quiet. They don't care.
So funny.
Little devils, I tell you.
See. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this up for this episode? So
I just want people to know that Jesus loves them.
Oh my God. So
yes, he does.
Oh my God, I can't. Jesus
loves you.
One last question. Jesus. Do you guys say, oh my God,
Black Jesus loves you? Demetrius, you're crazy. Only Black Jesus loves you. I don't know about white Jesus. He be on some shit. I don't know.
You're getting in so much trouble with this later. Oh my God. No, seriously. Do you guys say, oh my God?
I have said it during sex. I have said it when I'm surprised by things.
Yeah.
So it's not blasphemous for you guys?
Well, no, not for me now that I understand.
Yeah.
No. Because the word God to me is just a word. It's not his actual name. And it tells his name in a very, very common prayer. And I don't say that one. I say the word God, which means entity.
Okay.
So, no,
okay. So here's another thing. So maybe people who are listening this week, if you guys want to add on to the conversation we're having so we could talk about what is going on in the world with like spirituality and religion and beliefs and all that stuff, because I think a part 2 is warranted, because I feel like there's much more. Like I have a shit ton of stuff I want to talk about.
Get into how they have all the "In God We Trust" on money, and how they take it out of school.
Let's go there.
Pick and choose what they want in school.
Let's go there.
So we can definitely have fun.
I feel like we need to go there, because I feel like so much of our lives are intertwined with our beliefs and faith in things that if you don't include it, it's hard to talk about without it. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So, I mean,
and then for the listeners, CJ wanted to discuss, because I just realized we didn't, just like what you believe in and how it dictates the choices you make in your life, consciously or subconsciously. Mm-hmm. Even me being like always trying to put the reset button on my pussy when I'm like, all right, we're gonna wait for marriage this time. I know that's because of what I believe in spiritually, because to me, I understand why God would create sex, because man, and then why it should be in the context of marriage. Okay.
I can't with y'all in this fucking.
We're pretty awful. So yeah, we have to talk about that. So hopefully you guys, have some questions.
Yeah, because I want to.
If you want us to.
I want to include holidays, because I wanted to talk about that too.
Oh yeah, we definitely have a conversation about holidays.
Christmas, Easter.
You ever notice that? It's a holiday every month except for August.
Is there a holiday every month except for
a major
August?
holiday every month?
Oh shit.
January.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Day.
Right.
February is Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's March. March can have Easter sometimes.
Or St. Patrick.
St. Patrick.
And St. Patrick. Yeah, St. Patrick. May is Memorial Day.
Mother's Day, but fuck it.
And Mother's Day.
Fuck it. It's fine.
June, Father's Day for June.
Mm-hmm.
July is 4th of July.
Right.
August is first day of school, so they don't need one.
No, there has to be something in August. There's got to be something in August. CJ, look it up.
I will. I mean, there's actually a day for every single day of the year, actually, if you really want to get technical.
What's summer solstice? Like, when does that start and stop? I know you know.
June 21st is when it starts, and then the first of fall is September 20-something. So, even with that, the New Year that was actually celebrated wasn't till Easter-ish, and I'm not gonna get into all of that right now because I want to.
Oh yeah, because New Year's wasn't until it was
The New Year's that we have right now are technically considered the New Year of Death. So I'm gonna save that.
I like the way she said that.
Nice. I was like, okay.
I mean, because there's so much.
There's layers to it.
Intertwined, and so I think I want to.
More layers in that cake I sat on yesterday.
Oh.
You know what?
Water bill.
Not you.
That water bill. That shit is hassle.
Y'all have to look up.
That's some bullshit, huh?
Y'all have to look up D talking about sitting on cakes. It take him to explain it.
I'm not gonna go.
Oh my God! For birthdays, we sit on cakes.
No, ma'am.
I'm sitting on a cake.
On the video, we sit on cakes.
I'm doing it.
It's not even his birthday. Hey. Cake.
I feel like we're gonna have different types of followers if we do that.
Are those followers helping pay bills? Because
yes, eventually.
How much does Pornhub pay?
Oh my
God, he just went all in on that.
He definitely did not go gentle. So he went full Gatorade bottle on that. I was not.
Is that how we're gonna describe things?
Exposed, but I'm just saying, like, we have to have a platform to do this on, and it's gonna have to be porn.
Oh my God, the kids.
Not gonna lie, if somebody was into like, I just want to see you shave your armpits. How much you need? How much you want to pay, playa?
I mean, I think I might do an ASMR kind of too. Maybe I'll make some money.
Do it. For my birthday, can you just do one and you're just giving me
yeah, you look like one of them people that would do
what does that mean?
I don't know. You have that ASMR freaky shit look. Like you look like you would.
She does, doesn't she? And it's because her hair. It's her hair too.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm doing a wash day next week so that I could get this hair down.
That's what it is.
I'm tired of my buns anyway. I want to wear it down. I
want it to be like
treatment.
Really, even though she speaks English fine, I just want it to be really broken up. I want it to be choppy.
Oh, that's so.
You're so rude. You're just as rude as them motherfuckers who were like, speak Japanese to me while we doing it in the middle. Yes, rude. Weird. Just get up and leave, CJ. God.
I told you that's what I want for my birthday. Choppy English compliments from CJ and her aunt are what.
Do you hear D in the background making Japanese girl noises? I can't.
Keep going.
Oh, man.
Demetrius. Oh my god.
I like chocolate skin.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Skin.
You know what? I can't. We can't be friends no more. We colleagues now. We not friends no more. I can't help y'all. My god. Anyway, I don't want to keep pushing the hour. So we're gonna wrap this up. But
wrap up
next week, part 2 of our spirituality and religious stuff. Yes. Hopefully you guys will send in some questions or even stories if you want to, so that we can kind of share it with everybody else. If you're cool with it, we will keep everybody anonymous. If you ask, if you don't care, let us know. We'll just call you out by your name. Something's happening with the children over there. That's
I was like, what is this clapping? Heather is so black. She claps when she claps.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. That's what life is, anyways. Raw and uncut. No censoring.
Raw and uncut.
No censoring with a C and an S.
Oh my god. But yeah, so hopefully everybody who is watching this will like, comment, and subscribe. Did I do that right, guys?
Yep.
You did? Oh my god! You did!
And if you're listening, go ahead and subscribe to your podcast platform channel for The Triangle. I guess we out then. We out.
Tiger Claw. Yay!